Welcome back. The purpose of this lesson is to look at the second part of Unit 5, which is quite lengthy, and that's to do with cybersecurity. We're going to break this part of the unit into little chunks. So we're going to make a number of videos which don't just focus on all of the security threats and the solutions together, but in bite-sized chunks. Generally, you are expected to describe the processes involved in and the aims of carrying out a range of cybersecurity threats. And these threats include brute force attacks, data interception, DDoS attacks, hacking, malware use, farming, phishing, and social engineering. In this video, we're just going to look at brute force attack and data interception. The reason we're doing this is because if you already have some knowledge about these type of threats, you don't need to watch every single video and you can just jump to the video that is relevant to you. So let's begin by looking at cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is all about keeping data safe, and it is extremely important for many reasons. A lot of times we might have personal data that we want to keep within our family or close friends or private, or it might be commercial data such as passwords and bank details, which we don't want other people to know about. And if you're organizations, your business data can actually be quite valuable to your competitors. This data can be corrupted or deleted either accidentally or maliciously, which means deliberately. Somebody really wants to cause you harm. Malicious is the act of deliberate intent to cause harm to someone or their property. In this case, the property is data. Now, there are also many ways data can be intercepted, leading to several cybersecurity threats. And we've just talked about that a moment ago. You will need to be familiar with all of these, and you should be able to talk about them and possible impact and possible solutions. Any one of them can come up in the exam. Cybersecurity therefore relates to the processes, policies, and practices designed to protect against any threats or unauthorized access to networks, computers, programs, or data. It's a combination of strategies rather than an individual approach that needs to be employed to provide a robust defense against these threats. So if you say that, okay, firewall can protect against everything, no, it can't. Neither can encryption, neither can backups, neither can username and passwords, biometrics, two-step verification, and so on. Now on screen, there's a brief graphic that outlines all of those threat areas. So do pause the video and go through those. We're going to go through these in a lot more detail later anyway, so I'm not going to read these out. You can pause the video and go through those. The green bit at the bottom is a possible defense mechanism against that particular threat. So pause the video, have a quick read, and when you're ready, continue. Let's start looking at the brute force attack in a bit more depth. Now, if a malicious person wants to crack your password, they try all the different combinations of letters, numbers, and other symbols until eventually they find your password. This is known as a brute force attack. So they're brute forcing their way through the door. They're trying every combination possible. Now, one way an attacker can reduce the number of attempts needed to crack a password is to go through a series of logical steps. So what they will do is they'll check if the password is one of the most common ones used. And the five most common ones are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, password, QWERTY, 11111, ABC, 1, 2, 3, those kind of things. If it isn't in the common password list, the next thing they do is they start looking at a strong word list. And this is normally a text file which contains a collection of words that can be used in a brute force attack. Now, some programs might generate these word lists automatically. Think of these as dictionaries, and they can contain millions and millions of words. And finally, there's obviously trial and error. So they'll keep trying random combinations until they finally get to your password. So the longer a password is and the greater the variation of characters used, the harder it will be to crack. So if you've got a unique combination of letters and symbols, which is not in the dictionary and is not common, and it's about 10, 12 characters long, it might be very difficult to crack using a brute force attack. Other possible solutions include limiting the number of password entry attempts before locking the device, using two-step verification, or using a biometric password. Now, we're going to look at all of these solutions in more depth later on in another video, but for now, you just need to know the following solutions can reduce the risk of brute force attacks. Okay, now let's look at data interception. Data interception is a form of stealing data by tapping into a wired or wireless communication link. and the intent is to compromise privacy or to obtain confidential data. Now, interception can be carried out using a packet sniffer, which examines the data packets which are being sent over a network. And this particular piece of software then sends the intercepted data back to that malicious person. This is a common method when wired networks are used. So you use a packet sniffing tool, which will sniff whatever packets are traveling on the network and then send it to a third party who can then look at misusing it. If you're using a wireless communication network, then Wi-Fi data interception can be carried out using war driving. Using this method, data can be intercepted using a laptop or a smartphone or an antenna and a GPS device together with some software like a packet sniffing tool. And you normally set out outside a building or someone's house or in a cafe, and you create a fake hotspot. When a person connects to that hotspot, then you intercept the packets that are sending over the network. And this intercepted Wi-Fi signal can reveal personal data to the malicious person, often without the user being aware this is happening. Obviously, encryption of data makes life more difficult as data can't be read easily. However, encryption doesn't mean that data can't be intercepted. It just means that when it is intercepted, it can't be read. Now, to safeguard against war driving, the use of protocols like wired equivalent privacy, WEP, or secure socket layer, SSL, these type of encryption protocols together with a firewall is often recommended. It's also a good idea to protect the use of the wireless router by having complex passwords so somebody else can't hijack your personal router. Most people never change the basic password that comes with a particular router. So all you need to do is type in something like admin and password, and you can get into most routers. It's also important not to use Wi-Fi connectivity in public places such as the airport or Starbucks or any type of cafe, since no data encryption will exist and your data is then open to interception by anyone within that particular area. We'll draw a line here and we'll continue on with the rest of the threats in the next video. Hopefully, you should be able to answer the following questions. What is meant by cybersecurity? You should be able to list two ways data can be corrupted or deleted. You should be able to describe what a brute force attack is, describe what is meant by wired and wireless data interception. You should also be able to explain how a brute force attack can be avoided and how the risk of data interception can be reduced. As usual, if you are struggling with any of these questions, go back through the video. The answers are in there. But if you do have any specific questions, use the comments and I'll get back to you. That's all for this video. I'll see you in the next one.